Welcome to the Church of Saint Birthday. I am
Yesterday's princess.
sit the fuck down and get ready for Bible study. So, currently in life, I'm having to reconstruct what art means to me. Even right now in my current state, what I'm going through in life, everything around me is literally unraveling at the seams. And I know that this is literally what I need. Despite that, I do not feel comfortable prioritizing anything else before the art. I'm at a point right now currently where I adamantly believe that the art should coexist with the struggle of life. And I'm finally at the point where I don't give a fuck if that sounds crazy. You know? You probably don't, so I'm going to explain it. But it's I've spent so much time working to get to this point in my life, and I'm ready to speak my truth. I had to spackle, sand, and slap on this fucking clown paint, and yeah, I have to do that. I literally need to do this. This creative expression, maybe not this specific one, like what I'm doing right now, but the art of creative expression is something that is deeply integral to who I am as a person. And just for precursory context, I fully, confidently, objectively believe that capitalism is a disease. And I am not in the place to eloquently give a fleshed out and properly sourced explanation as to why. Okay, my black ass is tired, and I'm not doing the 101 classes right now. I'm sorry, I'm not doing the 101 classes. If you don't already have that understanding for capitalism being a vile, evil spirit corrupting America's future and haunting America's past, this is just not the video for you. And that's okay. That's okay. So please, literally don't come into the comments trying to engage with debating things that I am mentioning that I see as fact. Because I'm not entertaining it. It's a waste of time. I don't want to. And you know what pisses me off? I know one of you nasty wet roaches are going to do it anyways, but that's okay. It's fine. However, if you genuinely want some good fleshed out resources from someone else who has done the nitty gritty work of sourcing things, because you need a fucking source to believe things. If you need that, if you like that type of content, maybe if you DM me, maybe I'll send you a link. I don't know. Depends on how I'm feeling if I answer. With that disclaimer out of the way, keep in mind a lot of what I'm saying is kind of more so in the theoretical realm, inspired by things I've heard and seen online over the past couple of years, but nothing directly sourced from anyone. This is just kind of me vibing, I guess. This is theoretical vibing. All my theories and commentary right now is based off of passive educational doom scrolling, first-hand experience / thoughts, and also vibes. That's just that's it. That's just all there is to it. Currently, the way our society, and when I say our, I'm referencing to American because I'm an American, the way our society has distorted the concept of art and what it should be is literally harming us as a community. It has basically set up art and the indulgence of it as more so a class privilege or a tool you use to gain from. It's art is only valuable if you are A, already rich, or B, able to create a profit from it. And for a while, I feel like I definitely have had a very good logical understanding of the failures of our society in a general sense, especially when it comes to capitalism and how it pits us against each other and makes us scramble and fight for our basic needs, right? I've always been pretty conscious of that, or at least I have been for a good working part of my young adult life. I would say so. Because I had such what I would consider a pretty good understanding of it, I didn't really realize that just because I understand those systemic corruptions does not mean that I am not immune to carrying those ideologies subconsciously. I literally, within the last couple of weeks, found that out. It was like festering in such a detrimental way to my well-being. And it really shocked me. I kind of like to describe it almost like a social trauma that a lot of us have experienced. And while I am in a much more consciously aware state of being and like recognize that toxicity, I am still carrying that trauma. You know, oftentimes in this like vile capitalist stomach bile that we all have been wading through our entire lives, we on a general scale idolize power. We idolize success. We have been literally spoon-fed the concept of rags to riches, fighting to the top, beating out the competition, right? Like that's kind of a big part of a lot of classic American stories. It's a big lesson in a lot of the historical context of America. Like it's built into it's just classic American lore. And in a part of that classic American lore is that idea of individualism, the idea of fighting for your story, your triumph, your passions, and standing very strongly within those, no matter what the cost is a lot of times. All of that is to say, coming back to the concept of a social trauma, I think I like describing it as a trauma because trauma is something that you can logically understand about yourself, right? And you can learn about it, create an understanding for it, because oftentimes most of us are experiencing our traumas in the developmental stages of our lives. Usually I don't know if that's more common actually, but that's the trauma I'm familiar with. I know lots of people who are familiar with like developmental trauma. And you don't even realize that it is trauma until later down the line when you have the opportunity to reflect on it. Maybe you get help from someone else. Maybe they help you realize it's fucked up. A lot of times you have something that helps you realize that you have experienced trauma. But that's the thing about it. The logical understanding of your traumas will not change the built-in, like inherent, oftentimes subconscious response your brain has adapted to help deal with said trauma. So in the concept of a more traditional trauma, like, abuse when you're younger, your brain creates these urgent, oftentimes maladaptive defense mechanisms to keep you safe. But as you grow older, become an adult, those maladaptive practices that you created still exist in you as an adult. And not everyone has the privilege of realizing that they've experienced their trauma, or not everyone gets the opportunity to like talk it through and figure out the intricacies and understand it. For the people that do, right, getting a good, clear, logical understanding of your trauma responses does not get rid of that response all the time. Like it still actively exists within you, because it's not just like something you're doing just to do it. Your body sees like it sees this thing that you have created as a tool of protection that you need. It's something you depend on. And so that's why I like to call the idea of capitalism like a social trauma that we're growing up with, because a lot of us grow up with that ideology getting shoved down our throat all the fucking time in so many different ways. And it's not like, looking back, it's even in ways that you didn't even really like always notice or like subconsciously are aware of. Like, some of your favorite childhood cartoons might have some weird government propaganda in them, or some of your favorite snacks and cereals have like weird pictures and shit like that reference back to like American propaganda. And it's like it's so completely intertwined with our culture and our society that you probably don't even realize how intense of an impact it's had on you. And that's the case for, I feel like, most people. And because capitalism isn't like something that everybody agrees is not necessarily a good thing. There's still a lot of pushback in day-to-day space. Like, you're still actively dealing with those traumas on a day-to-day space. Like, the concept of how you have to fucking pay rent every month. You still have to live, like, you are still being actively traumatized by a capitalist society. And then the more, if you happen to go down the journey of trying to understand the root of capitalism and how it works and how it affects you, you kind of like unleash this can of worms where you realize you're fucking stuck in a lot of cycles that are just so like exhaustive and depressing and confusing and don't make sense and feel so insanely unnecessary, but you can't necessarily do anything about it. So sometimes it just like takes you into this depressive rut, you know? So that's why I like calling it a social trauma, because it is definitely something that we grew up with that has subconsciously impacted how we see ourselves in the world around us. And even when we do get to the point, if we get to the point of recognizing the downfalls of like capitalism and how fucked it is, we still have those subconscious things inside of us. I say all this to say, when I started back on the journey of wanting to create my art, wanting to share the things that I make, once I started back on that journey, all of these very like viciously hostile, like innate responses like started flourishing in me in a way that I didn't fully understand. And it was so like confusing and overwhelming. And I think a big part of it leads back into that whole capitalism fucking traumatizes our different integral parts of society, art being one of them. The way I see it currently, our society has like distorted the concept of art and what it should be. It sets up art as like something to indulge in, like something you get the privilege of indulging in. And it's more so either something you can enjoy only if you have the leisure to do so, or something you can use as a tool to get ahead. And those two concepts are really fucking up, like, I feel like in general, just the concept of art for us as people. We only value art when they're like on a general scale. We are much more likely to value art that has like really advanced technical skill, you know, or art that is like high art, or art made by people who are already in places of privilege. I got into this really depressive rut because this thing that I've always cared about and has always been a big part of me, I could not engage in it at all without becoming extremely self-destructive, or I was self-sabotaging or triggering my wildest of insecurities, or it was like I was projecting my insane judgmental ideas and concepts onto other people, and it was like super harmful. It was really debilitating. And it doesn't help that like a lot of my social settings and my close, most intimate relationships are with people who are artists of various different forms. And so I regularly felt so inadequate and scared to make anything, to share anything, to talk about my ideas, to even make the concept of an idea, you know, because I'm operating under this subconscious need to compare and size myself up to the other artists in my life. So in my eyes, I was like, okay, here's the other thing about the whole like concept of individualism in our society. When you grow up with any type of talent, any type of skill that you're trying to get better, or any type of skill that you have inherently that the general population doesn't always have, it is valued and like amplified up when you're younger, or you get treated like this magical, beautiful star who is just ahead of everybody, and you get special treatment in your classes, and you feel really good about it, and you feel super smart. And then you hit a point where you're in these social settings with other people who are also like really smart and good at what they do. And sometimes they're better at it than you are. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm not good at this at all. Why the fuck am I even trying? At least that's what I did. And so I just kind of shut down completely. I stopped making anything. I stopped creating art of any kind. I loved journaling. I loved writing and creating stories. I loved making videos and content and songwriting. I loved doing that shit. In general, like just the constant bullying and harassment and the sizing up that you do in social settings just takes away. It just beats any type of confidence or excitement that you have to share anything, right? And so once I started experiencing other people's art, like in a bigger realm of like gifted, intelligent kids, and I felt like I didn't size up, I was like, okay, well, fuck, like I'm just a shitty artist and I'm never gonna be a good one, right? Because I'm just not good enough. How can they be like that and I be like this? And then that was like kind of the first planted seed of insecurity. It was like, and it was so strong for me for years. I stopped writing for a long ass time. I kind of saw it as a waste of time, and I thought it was something I would never be able, like I was like, okay, well, I'm just fucking stupid. I'm never gonna be able to do it in a different context or develop that skill in any way, shape, or form. There's really no point. My shit sucks and their shit bangs, and that's really all there is to it. Fast forward to semi-recently, I'd say within the last 2 years or so, I'm getting to the point where I want to make shit again, because it's always been something that I want to do. It's a big part of my personality. So naturally, I gravitate towards it, especially as I'm going through all of these huge transitional changes in life. You know, I'm coming out of high school, I'm going into real school. I'm dropping out of real school. Now I'm working full time. I'm living on my own. As someone who loves to create, I have the urge to do these things when life is happening around me. It's how I process the world around me. But I was forcibly not allowing myself to do that for so long. And I was coming back to it for the first time and actually actively trying to do it. And I was running into this wall of like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? And that is where we get to like the most recent epiphanies that I've been having. Solely in the concept of, okay, I've gotten to a point where I recognize, hey, your art doesn't necessarily have to be the best thing ever for you to make it. I'm slowly like warming up to that idea. I'm allowing myself to like baby into making new things and sharing it. And then I'm getting into this idea of like, okay, well, even though it's not great, whenever I make something, I just have to work insanely hard to make sure it is up to the literal only standard I have. And it will never be good enough, but I can still have standards of how it can look and be and exist, and that's good enough. You know, it's never gonna be something I really like, or it's always gonna age badly, or it's always gonna have mishaps or mess ups. But this is just what it has to be, and that's okay for me. You know, newsflash, it was not okay for me. It's such a dilapidated way of thinking about your art. But I got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I can make things and they can be okay, I guess. But like kind of just like babying my way back into it, sharing the things I was making with my friends. And it was like this specific epiphany moment where I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, you know how you like look back on anything that you make and you just fucking hate it, like it's just terrible, like it just ages badly every time. And they were like, no, I don't experience that. And it fucking like that shit threw me for a fucking loop. I was sitting there like, head spinning. I was just like, what do you, I was like, that's not, you're not, that's me? That's just me. Because I saw that sentiment. I feel like I've seen that sentiment before, and a lot of people have that sentiment with their art where it's like, oh, yeah, I just fucking hate anything that I make after a certain point. And that's normal. But I just thought that was like natural or an inherent part of art. I felt like that struggle was something that you had to have. That insecurity in anything that is old is something that you had to have. But you literally don't. Why the fuck would you tear apart everything that you make? Why would you do that? It's not very encouraging. It's not gonna help you grow. It's not very constructive. Doesn't really do that much for you. And that was kind of like my first moment where I was like, oh, like I have to really think about this. I have to really figure some shit out, because that's just really natural for me. Why is that so natural for me? And when I sit down and I really like start to process that, and with time and practice, I'm listening to like the responses I have to the art I make and why. And a lot of it was just based in the insecurity of me having not finished school. I dropped out. I felt like my writing was never going to get better because I didn't go to school and finish my craft. I didn't develop it in any way. And even when I did go to school, it wasn't for something that I actually cared about, which was writing. It was for technology. And I didn't do that for myself. I did it because I felt like I had to. So it was like I basically kind of stunted myself, unintentionally, of course. I unintentionally stunted myself, and I'm not gonna like blame my traumatized self that was struggling with a lot and dealing with so much insecurity and having so many like confusing, conflicting experiences about the world around them. I'm not gonna blame them for stopping art. Clearly that bitch was going through a lot, but I can look back now and see that it was like, your art was never bad, girl. Like, genuinely deserve to enjoy and like appreciate whatever the fuck it is you're making at any stage that you're making it. Like, that struggle that you feel working so hard to make something just to fucking hate it. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. And even if you dislike something about it, or you it's not something that is fully articulated in the way that you'd like, that doesn't mean you have to hate it. That just means you have something to learn about and grow from. And this is where I feel that sense of individualism that's infecting how we see art comes into play, because that sense of individualism and that sense of having to make something that was seen as quality or profound or unique or brought something to the table that has never been there before, it to me seems like it was rooted in those ideas of art that I feel like are popular in a capitalist society. Like, you have to make something revolutionary for it to be like considered really, really good, or you have to be technically really talented for it to be appreciated, you know? And so I took those concepts to heart. I really did. I was super critical of like grammatical shit, and didn't like to use what I considered simplistic writing of any kind. I didn't like to make anything that I felt wasn't 1000% unique. Like, I didn't want to make anything that I felt had already existed, and I didn't want to make anything that I felt wasn't completely like revolutionary, which is fucking stupid, because one, you haven't been doing it. So if you're not practicing the skill at all, how the fuck are you going to be making something revolutionary? And it's like, if you genuinely care about making something unique or making something your own, You have to accept the fact that your art and what you make is inspired by the world around you. And it's okay to be inspired by other artists who are talented, or other artists that make things that you admire or enjoy. Like, you're looking at people who make things that you like and you feel intimidated and shame, and that's not going to help your art grow in any capacity. But I just feel like that's a very big part, the competition part of art. Bars. Like, I feel like that plagues me, and also still plagues a lot of us when it comes to creating anything. And it's the fucking ego. It's the comparison and the competition. Especially if you were like a gifted, talented student growing up, you get pitted up against these other kids, and you're fucking sizing yourself up. But you're not just sizing up your work and your skills, you have them directly connected to your sense of self. You've placed a huge point of value onto these identities that you've created for yourself. And it's like, once those things are challenged, it's not constructive. It's painful, it's stressful, because low key it teaches you that you're better than other people when you are talented or creative. You're taught that you literally get treated better when you are like in gifted schools or in higher classes, or get like physical accolades for those things. And so whether they want to or not, whether they want to admit it or not, that's teaching you subconsciously that you should value yourself more for those achievements. And I think even though I did not actively practice that, it was subconsciously like infecting me very badly. And then when I was getting back into my art, whenever I tried to make anything, it was still there. Whenever I saw art that I saw was similar to mine, I could not enjoy it. I couldn't even look at it. I could not look at artists who made shit similar to me. I couldn't look at fashion that looked similar to mine. I couldn't look at makeup that felt like it was on the same skill level as mine. It was so hindering, because I just felt very triggered and personally attacked whenever the idea of someone else having a similar skill set or a similar art style to me existed. It felt like such an attack on my identity. And it shouldn't be, right? It should never, ever be. Right now, as I'm reconstructing what art is and what art should be, I want to emphasize the importance of community. I want to emphasize the fact that art can exist in literally any fucking form. It can exist in any form. Everyone should have the right to make something. It doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be aesthetically beautiful. It doesn't have to hit a conventional skill set. It doesn't have to be like conventionally against the grain to be valuable. It doesn't have to have just perfect minute like detail. Like, it doesn't have to be super professional or polished. Art deserves to exist just on the basis of art. Art is literally community. Creativity is literally community. It is a way to communicate how you experience the world around you. It is a way to connect to other people. It is a way to describe how you feel, what you think, what you see. Sometimes art, it's like fucking bus station maps. That's art. What the fuck? And once you let go of the idea of your art having to be this profound, just complex, just like against the grain, never seen before thing, once you let go of that concept, it will allow you to be more accepting of other perspectives, accepting of people at different varying skill sets, accepting of criticism and being able to get better. Because believe it or not, that insecurity of not being good enough, it hinders you from getting to a point where you are good enough, because you get insecure and you feel ashamed of your mistakes and you don't want to like do anything about them. You just kind of want to hide away from them. At least that's how it was for me. And I feel like I'm not alone in that sentiment. But like, once I let that shit go, it's still an active struggle, right? That's another thing too. A lot of it is like training your brain to think differently, because it feels so inherent. And you have to sometimes consciously remind yourself. Like, and then it's like, that's the thing too. Some things we see as like bad art, or things that we don't like personally, that we just don't enjoy, or we think looks bad, and we may not go out of our way to comment on it, right? But we like harbor that sort of like background, like sort of feeling sometimes. And you kind of have to challenge that. You have to really like bring that shit conscious and challenge it. Talk your shit, King. Yeah, babe. Exactly. Bo fucking gets it. He literally gets it. I think he's fussy because I haven't gone to bed yet, and he likes to cuddle. Like, because he's like, girl, why is the light on? What are you doing if you don't lay down and cuddle with me? I don't know. And again, this isn't a perfected like summary of every single thought that I have, and it's, you know, like I said, not super researched. It's just kind of like something I've been ruminating on as I develop my own sense of self, and I literally push myself back into art. These are the things I've been noticing, and I feel like other people would empathize with them, so let me know if you empathize with them. But yeah, also, it's just lame as fuck. Don't be lame. Why? Like, you're literally, listen, and that's the thing too. I feel like when I am actively what's the word? I guess I'll use ethical. My sense of like ethically, when I am actively and ethically practicing art, allowing myself that space to make things, I tend to think that the stuff that I make is pretty unique. I feel like I hear that often. But even if that is the case, you still can't use that as a way to subconsciously size yourself up, you know? Like, because that can also happen where you start making shit again and you like it and you love it, and you've got the part down where you're like, okay, I can make shit and it's okay to make shit, but then you still have that part where you're looking down on other people or sizing it up and talk like subconsciously like pitting your shit against other people's shit. Like, you have to really bring that to the conscious. It's a balance, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to have an individual unique voice or an individual unique artistic skill, but like you need to recognize that nothing you make is going to make you better than someone else, ever. There's a reason I say it so many times, because subconsciously in my mind, I think I had this connection of art that I deem as quality with quality better person, you know? And that's fucked. It's kind of scary to say it out loud, but I think a lot of us struggle with that sometimes. I genuinely do believe that. It's also proof in our fucking society. Look at how we treat celebrities. We treat them like gods amongst earth because they make shit that we really like and they garner a big following for it. And we're like, oh, they get better treatment because of it. So it's clearly not just me. It's literally a manifestation of the society we live in. And that shit's fucked. You are not better than anyone because you make a good song. You are not better than anyone because you can make a cool movie or a sick ass a painting, or you have a really good dance setup, or you're really creative with the shits. Like, you're just, I feel like we say it, but it is not at all in practice in our modern society. And I think that's because of capitalism. We value people based on their skill, their power, the amount of money they have. We say everybody is created equal, but they're literally not, because we have people who are actually homeless. And that I have a pretty better grasp or understanding of, but I'm just kind of, it's interesting to see that concept only looking through the lens of art, you know? And I just thought it was kind of interesting how that could still seep back into the like social trauma of capitalism. So ooh, I'm so excited. And that's the thing too, like I have been consciously putting in effort to like do shit and try it, even though I know that shit's like not what I want it to be. And it's been leading into this moment where I'm making something where I'm like, oh shit, this feels like a little bit more self-actualized. This feels like something that is a bit more cohesive than something I would have put out in the past or done in the past. And I'm so proud of myself. Even though I know it's not exactly what I want. Even though I know it wouldn't perfectly work like all the time. Because I spent like what? I have literally 4 hours of footage because I'm a fucking yapper, as I've said previously. I have like all this fucking footage that I'm gonna have to edit, but I still feel like it's way more capable, you know, because I'm just so happy that I even fucking sat down and attempted it, you know, like, and that is because I let go of that fucking ego. I let go of that sense of self, and that has allowed me to get to this point. And I'm really thankful. Because I'm going to go further. Because foundationally, to me, your art will get better as you let go of that sense of like too much. The overindulgence in the sense of pride and the sense of self. Yeah. And also, okay. On one hand, right? If you want to make art your career, right? Like, you're gonna have to deal with the fact that you are profiting off of something that is something you're passionate about, you know? But also, like, if you're sharing your art that you care about, that you are making because you just want to make it, because you care about it, because it's yours, because you really like it, you have to be firstly posting that shit for yourself before anybody else. Foundationally, as you create online content of any kind, posting it, publishing it, sending it out to anyone or anywhere, it has to be for you first before it is for someone else. Because I like when I started getting into like, yes, okay, when I started getting into like, okay, well, I want to start a YouTube channel, but it starts off for so many people where it's like they just want to share their art and hobbies, and then after being churned through this nasty ass capitalist infected social media machine, they come out on the other side with a distorted sense of self, because now their identity is intertwined with their fucking job. Oh my god, like your personality becomes a performance. And I get why people get fucked up from that. Like, even on the smaller scale of like internet celebrities, like it's almost worse because it's a lot. You have a lot more ease of access to interacting with someone that you know on YouTube versus like fucking Beyonce. It's just the first example that popped into my head. But that parasocial interaction of you're creating a one-sided bond with an audience and then you're also profiting from your art or work, and depending on the creator, a lot of these internet personalities make their personality like the main thing that they're showing and sharing. So then your personality is what you're profiting from, and then that I understand why it can be so taxing and conflicting for a lot of these creators. Like, I can't even imagine what that's like. I say as I am trying to do the exact same thing. Yeah. And I just think a good way to combat that is to foundationally, like, what you post needs to be for yourself before anyone else. And I feel like that sentiment is said often, like, you need to make your art for you first. But it's losing its value because people oversay it. But literally, it needs to be for you first. Your art has to be for you first. Like, well, this mic is crazy because it's picking up his meows like he's not like 3 feet away from me. Specifically, when I got into first the idea of making a YouTube channel, I got super hyper fixated on like making my content as palatable as possible for large groups of people. And it's like, the fact that I felt the need to do that is rooted in the idea that I need a following. Why do I feel the need to cultivate a following? And it's like, because myself, like so many people on these apps and platforms, see a following as an inherent value to creation. It's fucked. It's literally fucked. It's so naturally ingrained too, because even before we had social media, society has always been based on the subconscious idea of power in numbers. I literally don't fucking need a following to post anything. I shouldn't be posting up here for that first and foremost. At least as my goal right now is to share my sense of self and my art. The reason that I post should first and foremost be because this is art that I want to share. And if I get to a point where I can like profit from it, that's a new bridge to cross and a new thing to like develop and figure out and create new boundaries. But right now, why am I worried about this imaginary concept or idea of people interacting with me? I'm literally talking to myself in my own apartment. Like, there's nobody here, babe. You're making this for you. You put this clown paint on because you like clown paint. Like, you didn't. And of course, part of the sharing is knowing that you hope to reach people that like it because they're interested in the same things. But I'm trying to work very hard on like not getting too caught up in the fucking numbers of it. Cause like, there's no guarantee that people are gonna watch this. And I should be okay with that. I should be okay with the concept of me just making this just for myself. Cause that's low-key kind of what it is. It really is just for me. I'm okay with that. I'm at a point right now where I'm okay with that. And I wouldn't have been not too long ago. But yeah. Like, I hate the fucking, this shit flopped. This shit flops. My post flopped. Like, girl. Who the fuck am I? Who the fuck are you? Post that shit because it's cool. Post that shit because you like it. Post it because it's just what you made recently. I think, but of course, you know, some people are up here to turn their work into profit, and that's completely valid. It's personally not something that I want to do necessarily. It would be nice to get to a point, but starting out with just the me creating an intentional practice of making art and sharing it, I want to be very intentional and careful with that. So that's really it. And I honestly feel like a YouTube channel is going to be really great for me, like publishing this progress and sharing what the fuck I'm thinking about, what I'm going through, how my thoughts and feelings develop and how they change, and I get to kind of like digitally archive my process, you know? That's sick as fuck. You're gonna grow with me. Ooh, don't get attached though. Goddamn. That's all I really have to say. Like, what else could I say? Like, he really summed it up perfectly. Excuse me. Queen, are you okay? Bae, are you good? He's all to pieces. Anyways, I believe that capitalism is a disease. Call me id gaff the way I don't give a fuck. Damn. Call me first name id, last name gaff the way I don't give a fuck. Currently in life, I've been self-medicating.